Hey everyone, I'm Lisa Triggs, author of The Menopause Mindshift, How I Unleashed My Inner Queen, and you can too. And I had the pleasure of talking with Kim Sorrell today, and it was just amazing. We cover a lot of things about menopause and how loving ourselves is a big part of not only life, but this journey as well. So make sure you tune in and watch our absolutely fantastic conversation.
Welcome to the show. I'm Kim Sorrell. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. I get to do lots of fun things in life. And one of the best things I get to do is meet the coolest people and then introduce them to you. And today is no exception. Lisa Triggs, she is amazing. You're going to enjoy her in so many ways and get so much great information from her. We're going to talk about some lady things today and about being a queen, and you will love Lisa. Lisa, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm so honored to be here. Me and
Yeah,
my me and my tiara and all.
that's right. I love your tiara. I love
Thank
your
you.
pink. I love your new brooch. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
got
just,
a new crown brooch going
that's so
on. Yeah.
cool. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Thank
So,
you.
Lisa, before we get into some of the other stuff, I would love to know what was 8-year-old Lisa like?
Oh gosh, 8-year-old Lisa. Wow. 8-year-old Lisa was the youngest of 7 children. Lived in a small town in Canada. Um,
We're in
and
Canada.
Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I
it's
mean,
snowing. It's snowing here right now. I don't live
oh,
in the same small town. I live in a different small town. But yeah, so the youngest of 7 kids, the first six of which are no more than 2 years apart. And then there was 4.5, so it was a bit of a surprise. Um, but they tell me it was a good surprise, so I'll go with that. Um, I swam. I was did lots of kitty things and um I I don't know. It was a pretty I think normal, I guess what you'd call childhood, except for um because everyone else was so older, I did spend a little bit more time alone, but we'll get into that later. It's another story. But no,
I
it's
lost
all
you for a
good.
second. So the last thing that you said was it was a normal kind of childhood. So
Yeah,
whatever you
it
said
was a
after
normal
that.
kind of childhood, as far as that goes. I came from a very large, even extended family on both my parents' side. There was, lots of cousins and things like that. It was a very active childhood, but in some ways for me, it was also a very lonely childhood.
Mm, because your siblings were older, or what made it
Yeah,
lonely?
yeah,
Yeah.
because my siblings were so much older, like I was actually left alone a lot kind of thing and just where we lived a bunch of different things. But I talk about that a little bit in the book but overall yeah, it's good. Came from, a relatively good family. We still speak, so that's a plus.
Yep, yep, that's a good sign for sure.
Although maybe after this they won't, I don't know. You never know. But anyway.
Yeah, wait and see what happens, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I live in Michigan, by the
Oh,
way, and it's snowing outside here as well, because if it snows in Michigan, it's going to snow in Ontario, I think. And I
yeah.
worked in Burlington, Ontario for a time. So
Oh,
I know some of
amazing.
Ontario. Yeah, it's like we're
Amazing.
sisters. It's like we're related or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in the Windsor area.
Oh,
So
okay.
just
Yeah,
across the bridge. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
And actually my husband's in Burlington right now.
Oh my
I
gosh.
lived almost in Burlington before we moved here. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, so
funny.
that's too funny.
Yeah,
Small
yeah, it's
world.
a small
Small
world.
world.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so your youngest is 7, growing up, and lonely is never any fun. Like that's not good. And a lot of kids, unfortunately, are in that situation and where they feel lonely and don't feel a part, or feel like they belong or whatever. How did you overcome that? Or what changed in your life that made you not lonely anymore?
I didn't enjoy my grade school years. I was teased. Actually, I think that was one of the things that I struggled with a bit. The one of the best things I did for myself was I went to a totally different high school than all of my siblings did. The high school was about 3, 4 blocks away from our house. But I decided to ride a bus every day and go on an hour bus ride to a school which I absolutely loved. I got involved in music there, was part of the band. Really enjoyed that. My high school years, made friends and really enjoyed those years, which, led me on and on, even though I ended up marrying somebody from my hometown, oddly enough. But anyway.
That's fun.
So yeah, that was one of the best things is to get away from, your so and so's little sister to be my own individual self.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Because especially with six that went before you, I'm sure
Yes.
teachers make comparisons and people make comparisons. And so it is nice to branch out and be your own self. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I have that little bit of age gap too, like there's 12 years between my oldest sibling and I, and 4.5 between just the one before me. Um, I am very, even generationally, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm very different than good, bad, or ugly. I'm very different than the rest of my siblings. They would never do
Yeah.
this. They would never write a book about menopause or put on a tiara or whatever.
Well, I think that's one of the joys, though, too, of being the youngest in the family. I feel like I'm the youngest. I'm the
Oh.
youngest of three. So, not quite comparable, but I'm also the only girl. And
Ah.
there is no better spot in a family than youngest and only girl. And I've known that my entire life. So it's never been a mystery to me. My brothers also knew that there's
Mm.
no better spot in the family than youngest and only girl. And but I don't know. There's something I think about being the youngest where there's freedom somehow that you have to express yourself or be yourself
Yes.
more, right?
Well, but especially being the youngest of seven, by the time, it came time for me to go to my prom and all that kind of stuff, my parents were like, yeah, 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 you stayed all night. They
Right, right.
were a little more lenient than they were with, like, yeah.
Yes, and all your siblings are going, we didn't get to do that. Why
I
didn't you
know.
let us
Yeah.
do that? Right?
Yeah. Well, I was the only one left at home by that point. They were all off and married. So
Yeah,
yeah, I was
yeah,
the only one
yeah.
left at home by that point. So,
So then you got
um,
married and you had a couple kids and life was going okay. And then all of a sudden, one day, something.
yeah, I met my husband when I was 20 and in the same we actually worked at Burger King together. Ooh, so
Nice, nice. Gotta love a junior
um
whopper.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He says I was the drive-through babe, and he was a burger flipper. But so I got married when I was 23, had my first when I was 26, second when I was 30. So my kids are now 30 and 26. And like I moved around a few times, moved from that small town, moved to closer to Toronto. And now I'm back kind of in the middle in the country. But and in life, life is a wild ride, ups, downs, all that kind of stuff. And didn't know it at the time, but started my perimenopause journey when I was like 38, and that lasted for 10 years. And it was after that part actually when I went into full menopause that I really started to have the hard time, and then brought myself back and then wrote the book.
Yeah, nice, nice. So, I mean, nice, hard, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
good for you for writing the
yeah,
book. Because the
yeah.
menopause, I feel like even with friends, doesn't necessarily get talked about a lot. like if there's somebody has a hot flash, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm having a hot flash, and they might walk outside and put their head in the snow or something.
Yeah.
But it's not something that's necessarily discussed that much. And we need to be talking about it. We need to understand signs and symptoms and things that we can do. So
Hmm. Oh, froze for a second. You're frozen.
when you started this journey, it's harder on some women than it is others. Are you there?
Yeah. Yes, you froze for a second and then I froze for a second.
Yeah.
So, what was the last part you said?
I was just saying that it's harder on some women than others, menopause.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I was talking about that with someone not too long ago about that. Why do some women have it easy and other women don't? Is it is it your life situation? Is it biological? Is it, um diet, physical it that part I haven't quite figured out yet, why? Because unfortunately I was one of the ones who did not have a great time. And but yet I have um friends, and even I think my oldest sister has actually had a pretty easy time, you know. And it's like, oh, okay. Um for me, I believed at the time, and I still do believe, because stress affects us in such a negative way, that I was going through a lot of personal stress, and that did make it worse for me.
Yeah, it's amazing what stress can do to you,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started out as best friends, and right now I think it turns and you start to hate me because I never went through menopause. I, I, I had cancer and I had everything removed, and it
Okay.
will either throw you right into menopause or you skip it. And I just skipped it.
Oh,
I
wow.
know. I know. I'm so
I
grateful.
hear a lot about the opposite, that woman is saying, I had cancer, or my mother did whatever, and yeah, and so that they couldn't take, hormone replacements, so they've been struggling, right? But
Yeah,
lucky, yeah, lucky you
I
that you were one
know.
of them with,
I know.
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because a few years later, my sister-in-law, who was walking with me on my cancer journey, she had to have a hysterectomy. And they wanted to immediately give her an estrogen patch after surgery. And she said, oh, no, no, my sister-in-law had this surgery, whatever, and more. And she never went through menopause. So I want to wait and see because maybe my body's just not even going to do it. And it was on a Friday. Monday morning, my brother called the doctor begging for something. This woman needs something. So she was thrown right into menopause. She like cried all weekend. Like it was bad. It was so sad, but she was hoping to skip it, but she didn't skip it. So it can go either way. But so
it
you
it can,
and yeah,
yeah.
38, that's young, right? To
For
start.
Perry, yeah, again, it was an instance in personal in the family. Something had happened, so I think I was thrown in because of that stress. Like many things, there's even autoimmune diseases that can get triggered, right, by stress, or events. And I believe that's what happened to me.
Mm,
Is I was all of a sudden thrown in, and I started to, gain a little weight, years, each year kind of thing, until finally by the time I was, I think, 50, I had gained like 40 pounds.
goodness. Yeah. Which, being a woman kind of stinks sometimes.
I felt
Like,
I was at the weight where actually weighed more than I did when I was pregnant for my kids.
yeah, how frustrating is that, right? But
Absolutely.
yes, the things that we have to go through as women, men just kind of have no idea.
I
They
was just saying that last night. Was it last
really
night? I said,
so
yes, I
funny.
was just saying that. I
Yeah.
said, look, women really get the raw end of the deal. First, we get stuck with the monthly things and all the things that go along with that. Then we get childbirth, and that's painful, right? And then we get menopause. Like,
And what do men get? They
What
have
did the
to,
universe have against us?
no kidding, no kidding. Yeah. You know
We
what
bring
men
life
end
into
up,
the world. We should be
right.
celebrated.
Yeah, we should be celebrated. Absolutely. Yes. I think, the biggest thing men get is they have to pee in the middle of the night a little bit more often or whatever. But
Yeah,
yes, we go through a lot. We go through a
we
lot
do.
for those men because we're
Yeah,
the ones birthing them. So they should appreciate us. They should.
yeah.
And there was a movie that I saw a long time ago, and I've seen it a couple of times called A Man Called Peter. And it was about this man who came over. I don't remember Scotland, I think he came over from, and he was a Presbyterian pastor. And one day he took a couple of the high school kids from his church, or college kids, I guess, from his church, onto a college campus to talk to the kids there. And they showed that the scene was that there were guys and girls, college kids up in the bleachers. And this was probably, I think, in the 40s. Hopefully I'm getting this right. But
Mm.
anyway, so they're up there and they're not really paying attention, whatever. And Peter talks or this other kid talks, whatever. Well, there was this woman, Mary, who ended up marrying Peter, by the way. But Mary got up to speak. And she was just kind of appalled, but she gave one of the best speeches ever in the history of the world. And she said, ladies, because she's looking and the girls are dressing like the guys, right? They're wearing pants and shirts that kind of look like they're smoking, they're swearing. And she's saying, we used to be held in high esteem. Like, why do you want to lower yourself to act like the men act? Not that men are worse than women, but just the way she said it, I thought, that's so true. Like, we don't want to be like men. We don't need to be like men. We can be women and fully embrace our womanness. And, and we don't have to, I don't know, chew
Make an
tobacco
impact on it.
or,
We can still make an impact on the world without having to be yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
funny, that's interesting because many women who are in the corporate world, right, have had to, become very masculine and that kind of thing, right? To be in order to be taken seriously, and that's an absolute shame.
yeah, it really is a shame because there's
They're
beauty
being
in
taken
being a
for
woman.
their brains. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What they can, provide in their brains that, they have to take on that role. But
right, right. So, what does it mean to
maybe one
you
day.
to be a queen?
Oh, let me tell you, I when I put this thing on, it just kind of elevates. So I recommend it to anybody. If, order one off Amazon. I happen to get this, oddly enough, at my daughter's 30th birthday party earlier this year. She had it at Medieval Times Theater, and they have the best selection of crowns and tiaras. And I got this there. And I do have a new respect for actual royalty because it's metal and it actually is quite heavy. Um, but when I put it on and I put my pink on, I become, you know, the queen, the menopause mind shifted, the mind shift master. It's an awesome feeling. It just, I don't know, something about it.
Yeah, yeah, I like it because I
Thank
think
you.
any of us could learn from that. That it can be a change of environment, a change of what you're wearing, put a little
Mhm.
makeup on, whatever it is that makes you feel better and
Mhm.
feel good about yourself. Like, I look at
Absolutely.
women and I just see beauty. Yeah, I don't know a bad looking woman. Like
Every woman should
women
own
are
a tiara,
beautiful.
and she could put it on in the privacy of her own home, whatever, even if she's going around her house doing housework. And just, I highly recommend it to see how you feel when you put one on.
Yeah,
No
I
matter
like
what
that.
you're doing. No matter what you're doing.
Yeah. How did you discover that this was going to be a thing that makes you feel great?
After I bought it, after came home with it, I thought, okay, now what do I do with this tiara, and I was going to put it in my closet, on the shelf kind of thing, a little display item. And I was making final decisions on the name of the book. Um, and I think I had had the tiara out, a little bit, and I was speaking with my editor actually, and she said, we both agreed that the tiara had to be worked in there somewhere because everybody thought it was awesome. Got always great feedback when I wore it. Um, so it just hit me. Oh my gosh, it's unleash my inner queen, and you
Mm,
can too, right?
mm,
And then from there on, it's just become part of the brand, part of the persona, you know, um, every photo, so people actually probably get tired of seeing it after a while. I'm always wearing pink, and I'm in this persona. I'm in my queenness. I'm in my, trying in that moment of being my best, and
mm.
I don't know, it just makes me feel good.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I think I
Thank
want to
you.
get one. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll
you
ask
should.
for one for Christmas or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. You can order them off
Yeah.
Amazon. They're not expensive.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks for the tip. So you started this journey, this perimenopause journey, and then, got to a point where it was full on menopause and gained 40 pounds, which how disappointing is that that has to happen. And then I think it's harder to take off once your body has
Absolutely.
changed, right?
That's the
And
thing.
so, but during it, you did some blogging, you did some other things, and you've written a book, obviously, about it. But what was that journey like? Like, when did you decide I need to share what I know with other people?
It was last year after I kind of went on, I call it, a transformative journey. Because actually I have left my old blogs up on my website, because if we go back and look at the way I started them off and that the way they are now, you can see that there was, you know, a transformation, so to speak, because initially it was going to be, how much I was in the this sucks group. I was in the absolute, I'm having a rough time. This sucks. So I want to put it out there so that we can all band together and know that we're not alone. Right.
Mhm.
But then when I started to kind of go through my own journey, I kind of had an aha moment last year in 2023, that where I was like, you know what? I am tired of feeling tired. I'm tired of feeling miserable. I'm tired of having this belly. I need to figure out what I can do to make myself feel better. And then it just kind of evolved. I just kind of said, you know what? Well, I learned how to, meditate and stuff like that before. I've written, a gratitude journal for a long time. Um, I'm going to dive into that a little bit more, right? And kind of go back. And once I did, that's when I kind of started to see things move and get better. And then I was talking with my husband and sharing with him what other women were saying, in on the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and how good he had it compared to, even some of them. And kind of thing is that, yeah, you feel yourself lucky. This lady's saying she hasn't had sex in a year, or she never, they're so, and he was like, oh, okay, I guess I am lucky. But anyway, I just discovered that this was different. I was able to kind of turn my life around by going within myself, doing some work on myself, changing how I thought about myself, treating myself and my body better. And that's when the book came about. So, I'm going to share my story so that other people know I'm just like you, but I was able to do this. And if I can, so can you.
Mm. I love that. I love that because it's so true that it can be so easy to be down on ourselves, right? And oh my gosh, I could look better. Oh geez, I've got to lose that weight, or oh man, whatever it happens to be. Uh, and it's so self-destructive. And
Absolutely.
when we're in a place where we're looking at ourselves in a negative way, it's really easy to see other people in a negative way as well. And the
Absolutely.
opposite is true too. When we're looking at ourselves in a positive way, hey, I'm a queen, right? Like I can do this. I'm good, whatever it is. Then
Mhm.
it's easier to see other people
Yeah.
in that way as well. So,
Absolutely. It's funny because it's simplified. People have said for years, um, what you think becomes things, or attitude is everything, and all that. It actually is true for this time of life as well, right? The
Mhm.
more I actually freed up and stopped worrying about things so much, even my weight, the more things kind of actually calmed down, right? And better things started to happen. I actually started to lose weight. I've lost 15 of the 40 that and I'm I'm just taking better care of my body. I learned what exercises to do. I was
Mhm.
doing wrong ones. I was doing too much cardio before, and, overstressing my body, and we don't always know that, right? And
Right.
then once I learned how to, just walk, slow it down, and different things like that, and um do weight training to help me produce my own hormones, right?
Mhm.
To do things myself, from that inside out, because I was living from the outside in. All these outside things, all these outside factors, things with my husband, things, how I looked in the mirror, all that kind of stuff. And just said, oh my God, I just have to concentrate on me
Mm.
a bit more.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. I think women especially can be raised in such a way that we're not taught to really think about ourselves. It's the opposite. We're caring for everybody else and we're taking care of everybody else and then don't take care of ourselves, don't look that way. And
Yeah.
then in certain circles, it goes even a step further that says, keep your ego in check. Who do you think you are if you're loving yourself that way or whatever?
Who
And I
cares?
just think exactly, it's so destructive, right? It's just so
Absolutely.
destructive.
Then you know what? The thing is that when you go through this too, when I sometimes people will leave your life, but you'll have new people in your life that are much better and lift you up. And if people leave your life, then they weren't the right people to be in your life anyway,
Right.
right? But you
Right.
just didn't know it because you were down there with them. But once
Good
you start
point.
thinking differently about yourself and you realize that, hey, yeah, so what? I love myself. Don't you love yourself? Because you should.
And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing
Yeah,
to
that's
love
a good
yourself.
thing. That's a
Yeah,
good
but
thing.
yeah, good point about the friends. I even remember like when my kids were little, if I was with people that were complaining about their husbands or complaining about being a mom, then I felt like I should be complaining about my husband or complaining about being a mom, and then realized I don't have those complaints. Like I need
Yeah.
to get away from that negative energy and hang out with people that actually like their spouse and like being a mama.
Yeah, even today, I find if I'm around people like that, and you know you're in it in the moment kind of thing, then
Mhm.
afterwards I feel bad. You know what? That was not right of me to do that. That was not who I am.
Mhm.
I don't want to be that person. I am not that person um
Yeah.
anymore, for one, because of course I was at one time. I was complaining about everything at one time, because everything in my life sucked.
Right. Right. I mean, that's how you feel. And
That's how
so,
I felt.
yeah.
Then
Yeah.
once I removed myself from that, right? From that outside feeling, and then said, you know what? You have a choice here. You have a choice every day to decide, you know, how you're going to speak, think, act, all that stuff. We all do. We all have a choice. You just have to be conscious about it. And that's the difference. Not people aren't always conscious about what comes out of their mouth, you know. But once you are, it's like, whew, it's
Yeah.
eye-opening.
What a difference it makes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I
Absolutely.
think, you have to figure out who you are. And that might sound cliche, but I think it's so true because when you were an infant, even though you weren't thinking about it, you knew who you were. But then
Mhm.
as you grow up, people are telling you who you are. And they're
Mhm.
telling you what you're capable or not capable of doing and the good parts of you and the bad parts of you. And none of that may be true. Like it's just somebody else's perception and you can get away from well, who am I And what does that mean for the world? What does that mean for my world? Who am I
Absolutely.
really, and how to live fully, completely you?
Yeah.
And
I talk about it in the book. I mentioned that because just because like you just said, just because you're raised a certain way doesn't mean you have to live the rest of your life that way. That's all you knew up until then. Once you leave the house or whatever and you're out on your own, you're out on your own. You make your own decisions. And if, your family has a problem with that, that's their problem. So, you know what? Well, do you love me or not? Because if families support each other, you know, and we don't want to go there, I guess. We don't want to be judgment of other families, but you know what I mean? That's what you would hope anyway. No matter what, your family is going to love you no matter who you are. Right.
right, 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 right. And no matter what, to
Yeah.
figure out who you are and be yourself, and
Yeah.
realize what a precious thing that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes I think about like the Mona Lisa. If it went up for sale, who knows how much Elon or Jeff Bezos or somebody will pay for it, right? But millions, millions and millions of dollars, who knows how
Oh,
much?
probably billion. Oh yeah.
Probably
The Mona
billions.
Lisa.
Yeah,
Oh
why
my
not? I
God.
mean, if you got
Yeah.
it,
Oh yeah.
whatever. It's probably in their couch. They can just dig in and there's $1 billion.
Yeah.
But because it's a one of a kind masterpiece. And that's what makes it so valuable.
Love
But
that.
so are you a one of a
Yes.
kind
So
masterpiece.
are we. We are
Right.
all one of a
Right.
kind
Yeah.
masterpieces.
There's never been anybody exactly like you. There never will be anybody exactly like you. You are one of a one of a kind masterpiece. And we need to embrace that and realize there's
Absolutely.
truth to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It, when you make the realization and you go through this and you're, um, it's just such a different feeling, to go through life and other things open up for you as well. You'd be surprised at what other, the whole one door closes, one door opens type thing, you're opening yourself up to, so many other possibilities. You might even get a promotion at work, or find the love of your life, leave the one that wasn't behind because, as it turns out, he wasn't, the right one. And that happens sometimes, but and that's for some, each individual person to figure out, for themselves. But I have heard of that happening where it's like, we're just not in alignment anymore.
Mm.
um I love you, but I this is who I am now, so um and it's all, in a loving good way.
Right. 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 Well, and I think too, to really love other people, bringing up love,
Yeah.
that you do need to love yourself. And so that's where it starts. And
Absolutely.
if you don't think good about yourself, it's awfully hard to really embrace love and really love other people. And
Oh,
so,
that that's such a realization that people don't even realize. It's like, you know what? How you feel about other people, especially people close to you in your life, is really a reflection of how you feel about yourself
mm,
and how you treat them, right? How you speak to them, how you treat them. If you don't respect yourself, you might not speak respectfully to your spouse or whoever, right? You
right.
know, that kind of thing. But we don't realize it. We don't realize it, that it really is all, what's going on in here.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. Yeah. It's an interesting thing because so much of it has to do with society, or it has to do with family dynamics, or it has to do with whatever. But you would think that as soon as you turn an adult, you would just go, oh gosh, I know some stuff that was said that I got to leave behind, or I know some things I felt that I got to leave behind. But it's a thing. Like I've often thought, there's books written about, what to expect when you're expecting, and how to raise your baby, and toddlers and terrible twos, whatever, and adolescents, teenagers, and then it stops. But where's the book on the 20s? And where's the book on the 30s and the 40s? Because it's all different and we're all moving ahead. And
Hmm.
so it is a beautiful, wonderful, freeing thing when you get to the point where you go, take me or leave me. This is who I am. and understand yourself better and appreciate and love yourself for who you are. Not
Hmm.
what the mirror says you are, not what the magazines say you are, not what the whatever, but know who you are.
You
And
are in here, in your heart, basically,
mhm,
right? In your
right,
heart.
right, right. So when you came to this realization that you needed to get in touch with that and figure that out for you, what kind of things did change in your life?
I, I, oh gosh, it's hard to begin or where to start. I found a community that of like-minded people, right? Which was huge when you're supported and around people who, um, have the same ideas and thoughts, aspirations, goals, and things like that than you do. It's a huge thing. It really is. And I um I just started to see things evolve, kind of one thing after another. Um, my husband is now in this work. We joined a course together. Um, and I appreciate and love him so much for that. I knew he would be great at it. He's a person who vibrates high naturally, you know?
Mhm.
So he has really good energy and that kind of thing. So to be in this together is a really beautiful journey, you know. And he was very encouraging with me the whole time I wrote the book and thought I should and everything. And it even allowed me to talk about, his impact on me, what he was going on, what was going on with him, that how that impacted me, um, and everything. So it's really been a beautiful learning, growing experience, that has transcended into many areas of my life. You know, after writing the book and doing promotions and I'm thinking about what can I offer next, kind of thing. I did a companion journal. I'm getting ready to put up. I did a self-care guide. It's like what else can I do to help people? That became the mission, to help others and serve others, you know, to be able to, get to just love themselves and just enjoy life. Like life was meant to live and be joyful, not to live and be miserable.
Right, right. Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. I think that's so true. And we get to pick. I like how you said that earlier, right? It's our choice. We get to pick.
Hmm.
And it can be so easy to let circumstances choose for us,
Yes.
or societal norms choose for us, or peer pressure, because we still have it at whatever
Yeah.
age, but peer pressure to choose for us instead of embracing that choice ourselves. I listened to this man I just love, Darren Hardy. He just is this guru of gurus and has such wisdom to share. And at the beginning of COVID, I was listening to him. I took a little course online with him. And one of the things he said changed my life. And it's going to sound so silly, but it truly changed my life. And he said, and this wasn't even about dieting. This whole thing was about business, this thing that I was attending. But he said, he brought up healthy, how healthy are you, whatever, you're going to perform better if you're healthier, all that stuff. And he said, if you're carrying some weight, realize that you're carrying it. You might want to make whatever excuse you want to make and blame whatever you want to blame, but nobody's putting food in your mouth. What you
Hmm.
eat is 100% up to you.
Yep.
It's like, what? That's so, which, how silly that, of course I knew that, but then I really knew it. Then I was like, oh my gosh, I am in control. Like it is up to me. Nobody is putting food in my mouth.
Exactly. Exactly. Because for a while I I talk about how, I had the carb cravings and the blood sugar and all that kind of stuff, when my estrogen and progesterone were, lower kind of thing. But once I kind of got back into this work and started to feel better, um, in my own skin, so to speak, about myself, the other things started to come into play, including how I cared for my body, right? If I was seeing myself healthy and well and my hormones in balance and that kind of thing, right? Seeing my body well, well, your your subconscious starts to think that way, right? So, all of a sudden I was like, no, I'm okay. I don't need to have that ice cream tonight, and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And you just the whole thing, your whole psyche kind of grabs hold of that, and it becomes part of who you are. It's like, well, if I'm writing down and I'm talking about, that I am healthy and I am well, your body starts to comply, just like it does if you say, I feel crappy, it
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna do it, it's just an amazing thing to go through. It's like, and I kind of, it took a while. I was like, oh my God, I actually don't need to have that full ice cream tonight. I don't need to have this huge pile of potatoes, even though I love potatoes, right? Kind of thing, or two helpings or whatever. Because I don't diet, right? I
Yeah.
don't diet. And I was doing that before. I was trying the carnivore diet. I was trying keto. I don't diet anymore. I take care of my body. I move it. I nourish it with, I calm it with my meditation and be grateful for what I do have. And I still will eat a bowl of ice cream or, have those mashed potatoes and all that kind of stuff. But I also know that I don't need to gorge myself on it. I eat when I'm hungry. I basic, and I don't know, it's just it's hard to explain, but your body just does its thing. And it just it does work. It just, you when things start to balance out, they really just start to balance out. And it all just kind of is a, you know, um chain reaction, when things start to come into order.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so true. It's so true. And I like what you said. I like everything you said. But gratitude is such a big thing, right? Like that changes your mindset when you're truly grateful for the things you have and instead of focusing on what you wish you
All the
were
negative
or
stuff.
things you don't
Yep.
have, the negatives, right? But just be living in gratitude and truly be grateful. And yes, and just recognizing taking care of yourself and how important that is. And it's easy to want the Halloween candy if you've got a sweet tooth or whatever it happens to be. But when you're in the right mindset, that kind of changes
Your
things. And
body
it's like, ah,
chooses, right? Or yeah,
yes,
your body chooses. Your mindset says, okay, instead of having six chocolate bars, I'm going to have two,
right,
you
right.
know, or whatever. What you said just now was something interesting as well, because it's, I don't know, it just, things just, I don't know, fall into to place. Just it's hard. Oh, that's what it was. Sorry, I had lost it for a second.
It's okay. I do the same thing all the
Whole
time.
memory
So,
thing is like, oh my gosh, when you said something, I was like, oh my gosh, she's making such a good point though, and I got to make sure I say this. And it's about science, because our bodies are all energy, right?
mhm.
And when we talk about the brain, the neuroplasticity and all that kind of stuff, right? How our brain works, so we can learn new things, and an old dog can learn new tricks and all that kind of stuff, because it is science based. Because some people might say, oh, being in gratitude or whatever, that's all woo woo, it's BS or whatever. But it's actually science. It's scientifically proven that if you talk to yourself in this way, the different things go off in the brain, the neurotransmitters. So it is actually all science
Yeah,
based.
it is. It is. And I think for so long, we've been saying science is over here and
Science is
God,
medication. Just take
right.
take the medication,
Right, right,
but
right. That's over here. That's one thing. And then God is something else. And instead of going, you know what? God invented us. God invented science. And so, you don't have to be thinking things are woo woo when it's scientifically proven that yes, if
The
you're
brain works a
living,
certain way. We
yeah,
know that. It's
exactly.
scientifically proven. The brain works a certain way. If you subject yourself to negative shite all the time, that's the kind of thing. But if you subject yourself to more positive, uplifting things,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
it's
It
it
makes a difference.
it's
I'll tell you,
simple
yeah,
science.
one thing I started doing is anytime I start to feel like I'm going to get sick, I just go, I feel great. 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 Anytime I feel it, I just keep going, I feel great. I feel great. And I know that there are times when people around me were carrying some virus and on the couch, watching Netflix or whatever, because they're feeling like crap, that I ended up not feeling like crap. And because I'm saying, I feel great. I feel great. And so my brain is hearing, I feel great.
Your
So
body is listening. Absolutely.
yeah. Yes. It's a good thing. It's
It's a
it's a
good
nice
thing.
thing to know that your body listens. And yes.
We
Yeah.
have control over so much more that goes on in our bodies than we realize.
Hmm.
We really do. That whole mind over matter thing, you know. And you know what? Don't get me wrong though. There were as I was going through the transition that I did, there were hard days. There were days I
Hmm.
just had to kind of give it a rest and say, you know what? I just, I can't do this right now. But then I made sure, though, I made the commitment to myself to make sure that I picked it up like the next day or the day after, right? Kind of thing. Because sometimes you just
Hmm.
have to, life throws you, life is life still, and you got to feel the feels and deal with what you need to deal with, right? But then again, you can always look at it in a different way. So you know what? This is feeling like a really what possibly could be good in this situation that's happening to me, right? What is the positive? What is the silver lining, that's in this situation that's happening to me right now? And some days actually there's a few things even in my life I'm like haven't quite figured out what the silver lining was, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. I just haven't been able to tap into it yet, right?
Right. Right.
But
Right. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And yes, oh my gosh, we're so much more capable than what we realize. And our world is so much bigger than we let it be sometimes. And, I think we'll come to a point someday where we're like, oh, man, if I only knew. But you can know now, like it's okay. And it's
it's
okay to,
never too soon. It's never too late. Sorry. Well, actually,
yeah,
both. Never too soon
both.
and never too late. Because um, even though my book is technically about it's about menopause in general, right?
Mhm.
Um, it would benefit people that are starting peri as well because they know, if they start, if they haven't already, can start now, they might find that they have, a different or a better journey than they would have if they had not. And even women who are, because even technically I'm in post, but um, and I still when I'm not being conscious enough, like I still will get a hot flash, that kind of thing, and it's nowhere near as severe as they were before. And then I have to stop and say, you know what? Am I stressed about something right now?
Mhm.
Is something stressing me out? Right. Um, the one thing though I still have to do some research on is everybody talks about caffeine makes, gives you hot flashes and sugar gives you hot flashes, and that kind of stuff. Like, why? I still have to do a little more research on that to the
Yeah.
scientific, reason why those two things are affiliated with our hormonal, journey.
Yeah. Interesting. Yes. Yeah. Right. And you'll figure it out. I mean, we're going to know more. We know more all the time about why our bodies react the way they do or react the way they do. And so, yeah, it's interesting with caffeine and sugar for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion I just have to continue to tell myself that, I can eat anything I want, this doesn't bother me. My hormones, my body is functioning normally.
Hmm. Right. And you look great and you feel great. And you feel great because you're you understand who you are and just feel great being that person. And, people talk about purpose, right? And like, this is part of your purpose, what you're doing. And I admire you that there are people that go through hard times and don't do anything with it. But you went through some stuff and the other side of it, you're going, the stuff I learned can help other people, which is just so cool that you are doing that and you're helping so many women. And so I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. It became clear that there was a gap kind of thing, right, between the science and the physical, and it was
Hmm.
it was the mindset, right?
Mm. Yep.
It was the
Yep.
mindset part. The mindset can be how we think can be more emotional than we think it can be. When we don't think about, we think about the three by physical, um, medical, physical, you can say emotional, that kind of, but mindset can be there are emotions attached to it. But if you can actually separate it a little bit, right, as you can go through this, you can, separate it a little bit, separate yourself from that emotion. That's when you kind of become clear. You get that clarity and say, you know what? Okay, why am I reacting like this? I'm reacting like this from this outside circumstance,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Right.
It's clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so freeing when you can recognize that. And so freeing when you can recognize that you can have a lot more control than you think you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, it really is hard to describe except for that you're sitting there going through life going, oh my God, like I'm enjoying my life again. Or even
Yeah.
more now than I did when I was younger because I know now the difference, right? I am
Mhm.
I am choosing, right? Thinking about what I'm going to say, how I'm going to react how I'm going to react when I get up in the morning, you know, um, I'm choosing. So you know what? I'm going to make it a great day, kind of thing. I'm not going to let this situation stress me out. I'm going to meditate in this. I'm going to journal on this. I'm going to, affirm myself. Um, be, because the big thing that comes in is people say, well, time. I work full time. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to. Mm, You know, a lot of people find time to go to the gym. A lot of people find that, or I have on my website 5 things you can do in 15 minutes. Either there's some that are before bed, and that be read something, write something, listen to something, right? In
Mhm.
15 minutes, in bed just before you fall asleep. And um, I'd love people to be able to comment and say, if that made a difference after a few days, if they started to sleep any better.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And yeah, people need to go to your website because you have a lot of great stuff on your website, and we'll be putting it in the show notes and you'll be telling us your website at the end. So we'll
Thank you.
do all that because it really is, it's so good. Lisa, I am so grateful for all of it. And you've got some really great things there that I know will help people. I know they will. If you were to say, like, maybe the top three things that really helped you, what would those be?
Meditation to calm your whole body, your whole nervous system. Affirmations, affirm yourself, right? Tell
Mhm.
yourself how much you love yourself and how great you are. You're powerful, you're strong. And visualization. See yourself the way you want to be.
Mm.
And that can be
Wow.
done the visualization can be done during the meditation, so that takes care of two. Right? And then you can also affirm yourself as well. I still listen to guided meditations, and when you can, can't remember if I said this already, but you can find free ones on YouTube. There are free apps, that kind of thing. You don't have to. It does not have to cause you any money or cost you any money to take better care of yourself,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. So
Intuitively,
true. Yeah.
you can get it on YouTube, free apps and all that kind of stuff. And you can really do all those three things in a matter of however long you want, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. I chose to say 15 minutes a day, right? Because most people can find 15 minutes a day, um, you know, at either the beginning, middle, or end of the day to
Mhm.
do one thing. Doesn't have to be, either decide. Doesn't have to be all three. Like the fourth thing that I do is solfeggio music. I listen to specific frequencies of music
Mm.
because again, your subconscious mind, that is all science too. It is all science because the different frequencies of music affect different areas in the brain and sends off different neurotransmitters. Um, that, it's like, what do I need to work on today? Because each different frequency will be, benefit a different thing. Do I need to work on my emotional relationships? Do I need to work? I believe it's 568 hertz is actually self-love. I listened to that one a lot.
Yeah.
And I would listen to it while I was journaling, while I was writing down the gratitude, right? Um, but or you can do that. You can use the frequency as your meditation, and while you're listening to it, do that visualization and also affirm yourself. So you've got, you know, essentially four things in one that you can do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
however, start it off with 5 minutes. It's
Right.
just start, right? Just start.
Yes,
You hear they say
exactly.
that? Just do it.
I know, right. Well, and it's okay to take that time for you. Know that
Absolutely.
it's good.
That's how I came up with before bed, because that way most people by the time we reach this stage are, well, in my mid 30s. My kids were approaching teenage years, I guess, right, when I first
Mhm.
started perimenopause and that kind of thing. And then you don't, when you're going, your husband might be asleep already, or partner or whoever, might be asleep already. Everybody else is asleep, and you're in bed, and you got your headphones on, right, and you're or if they're open, you play it aloud. I was doing that for a while, playing, music for both my husband and I as we went to sleep. I put it on the timer, for 15 or 20 minutes or whatever. Um, and it would just go shut off on its own. Um, that is when you go to bed, that is absolutely your time, right? Before you fall asleep. The house is quiet. That is time where you have just to yourself as you're nodding off to be able to, you know, do it in whatever positive manner you choose. Nope, there
Oh,
you are.
yeah. Yeah. I
You
lost
were
you for a
frozen
minute.
again for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I was just saying that you should do things like this for yourself. And 15 minutes a day, that's not that long. I don't
Especially
know
before
about
you go to bed, right? You're laying in bed,
right.
you're
Right.
falling us, trying to go to sleep anyway.
Yeah,
Throw your
exactly.
head, throw your headphones on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that stuff is all based on science that God
Yes.
invented. So it's
It's
not a
scientifically
conflict.
proven that if you think good thoughts before you go to bed, you will most likely sleep better, and you wake up in a better, disposition in the morning. I will say disposition, not mood.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. And so, what a great practice to have. And you were talking about frequencies. YouTube is, everything, right? You can find anything on YouTube. And so,
You
if
can
you
find
want
the
to know
meditations, the
more,
frequencies,
right?
affirmations. It's all on YouTube for free.
Yeah, yep, yep. So you can
Or
go
if you
and
have
look
the
and
paid version, all the better. You won't get any commercials, but and
there
then
you go.
there's apps. I have the Mind Valley app, and I have just the
Mhm.
free version.
Yeah.
And I am able to, there's some really good meditations from like Reagan Hillier and Bob Proctor. on there that, are for free. Same with the Solfeggio frequencies. And there's other apps too, just
Yeah. And
try
Mind
try
Valley
the
is a
free
great one
versions
for
first.
people who don't know what Mind Valley is.
Yeah,
It is just this resource for so many incredible people contribute to this wonderful resource that you can go and listen to whatever or whoever it is that you want to listen to at any given time. And so Mind Valley is a great app for
it
sure.
is.
And you don't
They
have to pay for it. You don't want to.
No, you don't. They do have a lot for free. I don't have the paid version. They do, however, for anybody that does want to, um, they just had done it actually. It seems every year around Black Friday, they reduce the price by like half. And I guess you always pay that price. It's not one of those deals where it's that price for that first year and then it goes up to the regular price. Apparently it's, when you sign up for that price, it's always that price.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Or like I said, there's lots for
Yes.
free. So
Yeah. And you right at
there's
your
a will, there's a
fingertips on
way.
your phone. Right.
Yes.
Exactly. The phone that's sitting next to your bed.
Which
Yeah.
most likely a lot of people keep their phone next to their bed because they use it for the time or the alarm clock or whatever like that now anyway, right?
Right.
Um, or,
Right. So
so it's
tap in.
charging anyway. You plug it into the socket and it's charging and you put something on that's, on a timer. If you don't want your headphones, if you say, is it okay if I play this, for 10 minutes or whatever out loud? Yeah, I'm sure they might be asleep out already anyway. You never know.
Right, right, right. Well, I
Again,
just
when there's a will,
downloaded
there's a
an
way.
app that I love and it's dancing.
Ah,
And so it's exercise, but you don't know you're exercising because it's way too much fun.
fun.
So it
Yes.
doesn't seem like exercise. And I just put it on and do a couple videos and it's fun. And probably good that I live alone because I don't know that anyone would want to see it. But
That's okay.
what
You
a
be
fun
you.
thing.
You
Right.
be you. That I
Exactly.
think is the catchphrase of 2023, 24 anyway. It's probably been around longer than that, but in my world anyway, you be you has been the ultimate catchphrase, so to speak, and realization because that's what we have to do. We have to be ourselves and not live for, anybody else, which I was doing for far too long. And I still have to catch myself, say, wait a minute, I'm focusing on him or her or whatever too much, not focusing on myself enough. And, you know,
Yeah. 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 Which is easy to do. It's so easy to
abs-
do.
we
Right.
do, we
Right.
get caught
So
up in
reel it back in. Yeah.
everyday life, even through the day to day, doing working, just, and sometimes even I'll catch myself. It's like, oh my God, I'm just going through the motions of this.
Mm,
Of just, the task. Oh my, because I'm like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and I got to do this, I got to do all these things. And it's like, whoa, whoa. First of all, prioritize, right?
hmm.
What do I want to do first,
Right.
as opposed to what I have to do first. I mean, and sometimes, there is the have to do's, but all that kind of stuff. But even, I have to stop and say, you know what? I need to bring my vibration up, so I'll just start repeating thank you in my head or whatever.
Mhm.
Just thank you, just in my, or you can say it out loud to yourself if you want to. And you'd be surprised just by saying those two words, that it's like, oh, you can feel, a difference coming on, or I'll throw on a Solveggio or even, some affirmations from YouTube or whatever on in the background while
Mm.
you're working away. So your subconscious hears it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great idea. Great
It lifts
advice.
it lifts you up. It lifts you up. It really did. Yeah, I've been there. I did all this because I say, I know it sounds like I was doing a lot, and for a while I was doing journaling, meditation, Solveggio, um, the affirmations. Yeah, I think that's, and then and then I found my right community, and that was just the gel that kind of, just
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
everything else actually, so much easier,
Mm.
right? To
Right.
be that part of yourself, to stay in that energy,
Hmm.
you know?
Right. And it affects everybody around you. It's a good
Absolutely.
thing for everybody around you, everybody you come
Yes.
in
And
contact
even
with.
now my
That's a good
husband is in
thing.
the energy, right? Like he's part of the group. We're doing this, this
Yep.
course together. Um, she actually, I will plug the community a little bit. Just I'll mention it because she did the quote on the back of my book here. Her name is Kathleen Cameron, and she has a Facebook community. And she also has paid courses, and we're taking one of her paid courses right now. But it was after I found that community. Again, it was more like-minded people, and they didn't it for me it didn't need to be just about menopause, because before I was just in a menopause group.
Hmm.
And after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm beyond this. I found myself um, supporting other women. Giving,
Yeah.
trying to help them. And that's when I knew is that, you know what? I need to do something with this, because I am now on a mission to help other people.
Yeah. I love that.
Discover
I
what
love
I
that
know.
about you. And
And part
yeah.
of that was finding this community, because it didn't need to be about menopause. It was just about other people that lift you up and are there for you. And let me tell you, they have been there. I have cried.
Yeah.
I have even yesterday, one of the ladies was so um phenomenal. We were on a call the other day and I did get emotional. I had a little bit of a blockage, and she said, make an appointment with me. I have a new tool, or a tool that I think can help you. And as soon as I met with her yesterday and she started explaining it to me, I knew right away what my problem was. I said, oh my God, I have been so busy with my day to day, all the things that I needed to do, that I forgot that I knew how to do this.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah.
It made total
Amazing.
sense. It was like, they say even the coaches have coaches.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
The smart coaches have coaches, I think.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Lisa, this has been great. You've given such great information, and I really, really appreciate you being here. I know
Thank you
people get
so
a
much.
lot out of it, and go you, Queen. I
Yeah.
just, where can people get in touch with you, and where can they get your book?
The easiest place is the website, themenopausemindshift.com. It has all the links to all the places you can buy the book. My free self-care guide is on there. Some 5 tips of things you can do in 15 minutes. And lots of other info, and more info about me too. And all my social channels are linked to the website as well.
That's awesome. That's so good. And of course, we'll have it in the show notes and whatever. So, Lisa, thank you, thank you, thank you, my
Thank
queen, for
you. Thank
being
you. Thank you
here.
so
I
much.
appreciate it so much. And I appreciate you being here with us. And until next time, be blessed.
Thank you. You as well.